G'day guys, welcome to a really quick, hopefully, review of this Everest meeting. I'll get through it as quick as I can. There wasn't a lot happening in a few of the races, so we'll do our best to speed through it. Race one of the day. So this was Ledger Stakes. The big query runner was Land Legend. They go really quick here. This is one of the better performances you'll see. They've gone really quick. The riders then decided to take off for whatever reason at about the 1,400 metre mark, something like that, 1,300 metre mark, and then sustain a run. The horse hits the rail and then runs away from them. So they've gone, really quick to the 800, quickened up the 600. Then the late splits aren't, exceptional. The track was a lot quicker than what they've said. I think it was a 5 at the start of the day, upgraded to a 4 to a 3. 4 for the first 3. Come race 6, it was definitely, on the better side of a 3 for most of the card and even quicker from the chute. So no surprise to see fast times in comparison to the rating that they gave this meeting, which was incorrect as far as I can see. But anyway, that's racing. This is Land Legend back towards the end of the field, third last in the run. You can see it's a little bit keen, but nothing too crazy. Just sort of getting on the heels of the leader in front, the horse in front. Major Bill's leading, controlling the race. Nothing much happens. And then, sorry, I've completely missed the boat here. So this is when Tyler takes off. I think that's the 1,200 metre mark roughly. So this horse sustains a run for 1,200 metres, comes around them, and just continues to pour the pressure on, even though they've gone super fast to this point. Continues to pour it on. Cleveland's the only horse that can come with it. Calipore and Benno do pop out and try and chase, but they get sort of tired chasing. Cleveland's obviously had a few issues this prep with the Equicast and a few feet gear changes, but super effort again, I thought. Torrens just keeps racing better than what its SP suggests. This is outlandish running its usual honest race, but the winner just way too good, runs away from him again late after. We see it hit the rail. I think that was right there where it hit the rail. So here it is here, changes legs and hits the rail. Pretty crazy for a horse to balance up after doing so much work in the run and running away from him. Its form is very moderate from what I could tell coming over from the UK, but certainly no slouch from what you've seen there, and I think it stays with the Wallace stable, and it will be very interesting to see where this horse goes. 2,600 metres off, I believe it was about a 40-something day break, maybe even more, 70-day break since it was last seen. Hadn't trialled here, raced over 2,800 metres at Deauville, so very interested to see where Land Legend goes or ends up going forward. Race 2, benchmark 78. Sequestered wins this race. They don't go overly... So they do go, sorry, a solid tempo here. Don't get home too quick. Race overall is not too bad. I was interested in a few roughies here. Personally, I thought one of them was very unlucky in Eastern Glow. The winner's ridden very patiently early, sort of out the back here. Body Bob rolls forward, does his normal trick and sort of runs along. Thought he was well rated and ran very well considering, how his pattern has been lately. And he stood up to this huge class rise really well. Thought his effort was great. Nails Murphy was on its debut for the new stable, first run in Australia. Thought it went okay, but certainly had every chance. Nails Murphy's one out two back here. Rise of the Masters chased the leader. I thought he'd had every chance, but a really good effort, 61 kilos, second up. No, Casablanca we'll have a look at. He's 3 back the inside. It does get held up. Eastern Glow's the horse I thought was desperately unlucky in the race and probably should have gone close to winning. It's 4 back, sequestered on its back. Just a difference in ride here. So you've got one jockey who's only got eyes for sort of taking inside runs. Maybe he fell for the trap of trying to follow the favourite, which to me, when you've got several horses in front of you, you've got to be trying to pull that horse's pants down, not follow it. Whereas sequestered gets the run through. And a really good ride from Zach Lloyd to sort of find that gap and get through uninterrupted. And the huge difference where you see Eastern Globe stopped in its tracks, absolutely checking, coming back, and then has the audacity to pick itself up again late and find the line. Casablanca, certainly a restricted room on the inside there. But I've still got a query over it, running a strong 1,400 metres. Winners come back in great form, 2 great rides to resume its preparation for 2 strong wins, but entitled to sort of keep improving through the prep. No knock on it at all. I thought Kamagway was good off the break. No knock on highlighting. I didn't even mind the run of Super Chilled, sort of winding up late. Don't want to be too overly positive on this race, but sort of treating these as barrier trials for highlights. Super Chilled, Eastern Glow, who's sort of up well and truly up in its preparation. Kamagway, who's off a little freshen. They can all find races to be competitive in the next few weeks without doubt. But they're all going okay. Reginald Allen Stakes. Here they go really slow down even further from the 8 to the 6, and then don't really come home overly fast. The time here is a bit of a worry, to be honest. Very slow for the grade. Visually, the winner does an incredible job and lengthens through the line, but you do have to be worried about the times and they've run here section. So good ride from McAvoy early to get Arctic Glamour in the 1 out 2 back, 1 out 3 back position. I believe it's in now on the outside here in the white cap. Jolly Star gets its chance. Broadcaster was caught wide, but that slow tempo certainly does nullify that wide cost a little bit. Kind Words behind the leader, I thought was an interesting runner. Held that spot and then goes to the line. I can't tell. It looks like it's untested, completely untested. But it's hard to be super confident what it's going to do next start because we never got it to see what it had left under the bonnet. So broadcasted back to a maiden certainly would be competitive. The winner goes to a race like the Calendar President and looks very hard to beat. It's just that inkling in the back of your mind that the time you've got maidens running well after sitting wide. What do you do with this form? It's a little bit dicey. Even just checking what horse that was back in the field there. Sorry, 5 Oceans of Energy. What does this all mean? A little bit bunched behind with unlucky runners like Kind Words. I know you can't put big margins on horses off slow tempos, but they don't really rip home. So I'm a little bit worried about this horse, even though visually it was really impressive. I'm not worried about the horse. I'm just worried about the form of the race and where it's going to carry us. Gloaming Stakes, and I think I had 34 individual doubles alive into Tom Kitten here. I keep calling the horse Tom Melbourne. I'm taking the blame for this horse continually getting beaten because its runs all preparation, even though it's won one race, have all been astronomical. And this is probably one of the better runs you'll ever see. So couldn't hold the spot early. Tom Melbourne is in the blue. You see Gambari out wide. Thought his effort was huge here. Stablemate Raff Attack kicks up. I thought he did the right thing to run along a little bit early just to make sure those horses that were drawn wide had to continue working, but they do run, quite quick tempo to the 800, maintain that to the 6. They don't come home super fast. So, horses that were back in the field were suited a little bit on pace day as well, but they got a good tempo here. So no real knock on the winner. He's done a good job. Gambari, we can see, sort of finally slots in. 1 out, 1 back. Ravello didn't have a lot of luck. We'll see him later in the race. Glad You Think So was honest from a going forward perspective. I thought Snowman was a little bit disappointing. I'll have another close look at him here because he's probably one horse I haven't had too close a look at. Long Jeans was a good run for easier races. Kintai was okay, super hard fit horse. He did a good job actually after being sort of ridden more forward. And Cap Ferrara came out of its coma. Just make sure I haven't missed anything. So many horses in this race. So I'll stop it here. We've got Ravello gets chopped out in a minute. This is Gambare, who sat wide for a long part of the first part of the race when they were going quick. Snowman behind the leader. Raff Attack. Kintai, who sat outside the solid tempo, boxes on really well. Cap Ferrara's about to check around the leader's heels here. And this is Glad You Think So. Tannhauser and Tom Kitten might go back an extra 50 metres just to show what Tom Kitten had to put up with here. So point of the turn, see it go sideways, get heavily checked. I think Nash got the blame for that, but it was interesting. There's a lot of bumping. Cap Ferrara's about to switch around the heels of Glad You Think So. Ravello's trying to push out from under the neck of Gambari and gets pushed back in. So, and Snowman does get the run through. I thought it did. I just wanted to sort of refresh my memory. It may be sort of coming towards the end of its prep compared to the others. I think the others had more upside, but its effort was pretty good. That's Long Jeans on the inside, sneaking up. I thought it did a really good job here for a horse racing way out of its grade. All these horses up front have done a pretty good job, I believe. Ravello, from a Derby's perspective, he's on track. Glad You Think So, definitely on track from a Derby perspective. Cap Ferrara showed that he's back on track. Raff Attack, deep into his first prep, really just continues to race well. And Kintai, the same sort of thing. He's not in his first prep, but deep into a prep and continues to race well. A lot of words coming out of my mouth. Tom Kitten down the outside. Let's have a good look at him in isolation. He's not entitled to do what he's done here. He just keeps fighting the line, even though he's tempo assisted. And I just love the big long neck on him and his ability to just keep finding the line. If he ever gets put into a nice position in a race, I know he's got that lack of a little bit of tactical speed, but he's absolutely flying. And you would think Spring Champion, possibly even Derby, are right up his alley. Game, set, match, Raff Attack. Interesting. All right, Kosciuszko, go. Early in the race is probably the main thing to look at here. We're looking for the leader in Mogo Magic. This is Mogo Magic. the winners here, front page. So jumps really well. Look what happens to Mogo Magic. Gets the squeeze, gets the old Wentworth Park squeeze box, and ends up having to really work hard and never gets in a position where he can either number one lead or number two put pressure on the leader in front page. Not sure what Kathy was doing on Kimberly's Secret. Very strange to want to put the pressure on here when she had that draw to really let whoever led, whether it was Mogo Magic or front page. Maybe she saw Mogo get the squeeze and thought the lead was there, but maybe a trick gone wrong, I believe. I just think had to work too hard. You can see it sort of pops straight off outside the leader and is working hard throughout. Nemeneth goes for a spell. It's probably a little bit disappointing considering the run it had. Mogo Magic was always in trouble once he was forced to not, be up on his normal on-pace position. This is Far Too Easy, who, just going back to the start again, I'm sorry, it gets squeezed out at the start. This is Far Too Easy getting squeezed out at the start with today our last cash. Who didn't do a bad job either. Charles Cavalier going back from the gate. I thought his effort was really good. He runs fourth. I've been trying. He's here, but ends up getting back out the back to last. So Far Too Easy's never really out of trouble. The race is not run at a hectic tempo, really even tempo. Controlled up front from a horse that can roll along in fast sections. You can see Charles Cavalier trucking, pulling up out wide. Thought its effort was really good. This is I've Been Trying that's getting dragged back, our last cash. There's some good runs that we'll see in the straight. The favourite, Opal Ridge, runs the fastest 8 to the 200 metres of the day. So she's done a good job, just couldn't reel in the leader who's high bowling out in front. So this is stopping again. Opal Ridge, front page, Far Too Easy coming right down the outside. Charles Cavalier inside it. And I've Been Trying his way out the back. Race is over. Underrated horse. It was interesting to see what Matthew Dale did with this horse, and it certainly lost nothing going to his stable. Opal Ridge tried hard. Far Too Easy, gallant as always. Charles Cavalier, very good, and I've Been Trying, I thought was very good as well, and so was our last cash for a horse, probably looking for further. Derry Grove did get keen and sort of got stuck in an awkward spot. Bit of a forgive. Not much to be learnt. I'd be interested to see where most of these horses go, but they're pretty hard to place. Lightning City Tats Lightning. I don't know what's called this. Basically, the way the track was racing and the tempo led to the result of this race. I have come out this morning. I saw there was a few people blow up about Hughes' ride on Airman. I thought he did a great job. He's caught really wide early and just sort of presses forward into this gap here. He's assuming that they're going to roll forward and he may end up 1 out, 2 back or 3 wide with cover. And he's very unlucky for mine to end up in a 3 wide position without cover. The winner sits outside the leader. So it shows that it wasn't a high-pressure race. And even though he was 3 wide at no cover, it was a better decision to be made than sort of back in the field here with horses like Bella Nipotina who end up, crushing the clock late and still not being able to get into the placing. So I think Bowman's given him an incredibly solid ride to sit wide, no cover on a slow tempo. The winner's just camped up there, sprints home. Not flattered, but had every possible chance. There's no doubt about that. Bella Nipotina does her normal thing, ripping home down the outside. Villana was okay, just pulling out now. I think most runners pretty much had their chance here. Jojo with the Man does cop a check. And Rustic Steel, I thought was very good down the outside late after being interfered with early and in a race that I didn't think it was suited to at all. So a slow run start, sprint, 1,200 metres, I didn't think was going to be its thing. So it looks like it's returned in really good order. Rustic Steel, it's our time, copped a bit of a check and was a forgive also. That's about the race. I don't know where a horse like him, and I'm assuming he would have got smashed by the ratings there. And he'll get sort of pigeonholed into a much higher grade now. It'd be hard for him to go back in grade, but certainly looks up to progressing into races like this in the future. IME, just a super honest, solid sprinter that did its normal job. Rocketing By was okay up the inside. And said Rustic Steel's probably the horse to follow out of the race, going into something a little bit easier that's more suitable, over 1,400 metres. The Everest start's really important here. So Hawaii 5-0 jumps in front. Marzu sort of misses it, ends up going back in behind, ends up following I Wish I Win. In Secret gets dragged out and ends up going back and through the middle. Private Eye tries to go forward and find that 3-wide cover spot. Probably was hoping a horse like Hawaii 5-0 would provide that. I'm assuming the stable, just considering how well this horse jumped, has said, listen, this is our go-forward horse, alcohol-free. It's half missed it. So I think if they weren't stablemates, J-Mac would have made the decision to roll forward, and who knows, it might have changed the whole result of the whole race, but that's not what unfolded. Alcohol-free burns forward. What's it called? The winner. I think so. Think about it. Lob's in an absolute perfect position. Cylinder gets that spot behind the leader that we assumed he would. Overpass leads. Absolutely. The one horse that probably didn't live up to expectations in the race was Overpass. Doesn't race up to its best. Controlled the tempo really well. Just an ideal speed for him, sort of just below standard, coming home above standard, but it just didn't run up to anywhere near its best. Another race where this horse, think about, just gets every chance in the run, and you're left sort of going, well, is he a good horse, or has he just been, ideally placed, well ridden his whole career? At some point, you've got to say, it's not a coincidence that, a good horse makes his own luck to a certain degree. And it's amazing that the rides this horse, Sam Clipperton's given, because he's struggling so hard to ride a winner, basically, other than at this level. So whether he just switches on and tries a bit harder in these races or what it is, I'm not sure, but he's certainly given this horse perfect rides. If I could be critical of anyone here, it's probably, the ride on Hawaii 5-0. We saw it jump in front, and then we see it sort of dragged out. So it's jumping here, dragged out, ends up sort of 3-4 lengths back further than where it is now, trying to find cover. And maybe that was a little bit detrimental to its chances. Poor old Nash. Nash just gets caught in a position here where I would have loved to see him roll closer, considering they're not going overly quick and pocketing the favourite, but you've got the stablemate favourite, same colours, and what are you going to do? It's pretty hard to knock him for not getting up there and pocketing the favourite and giving himself the best chance to win the race. I think he kind of missed the boat, but huge effort by Private Eye. I wish I win sort of, for me, was a touch unlucky, but had the absolute best run you could have hoped for from that gate in a race that wasn't overly fast run. So was it costing it? I'm not sure. Was it going to go past the winner in another 200 metres? I'm not sure. So, I think the best horse on the day won. I think Private Eye was probably the unluckiest horse in the race, and In Secret is the other horse that could vie for that. It sort of had to go back from the gate. If In Secret or Private Eye draw the gate, think about it, they both win the race. Does that make the winner lucky? I'm not sure. Would it have overcome the runs they had? I don't know. So, I think the clear best 4 horses in the race won 1, 2, 3, 4. Hawaii 5-0 is just a big, strong bugger that just continues to improve. Thought his effort was good. Marzu did cop a check back in the field. Alcohol-free cop a check when it was beaten. And Overpass for me was disappointing, but no abnormalities. So I'm sure they'll all line up in a few weeks. And, I don't think there's much between the first 4 across the line, and Hawaii 5-0 is interesting. I don't know where he goes, but interesting horse that just continues to improve. What's this race called? This is the Silver Eagle. So a couple of weird rides here. Number 1, Yellow Brick. Half misses the kick. And then is jammed. And this is after they've come out publicly and changed the tactics not to be leading. And Craig Williams jams the crap out of it to lead. You can see him absolutely shaking this horse up to cross. Ends up in front and going fast. Knocks over Kaboo on the way to a certain degree. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of this horse out wide. Is it Shinzo Sacred Satono? They go quick here. They go, 5 lengths above. Maintain that rage to the 800 metres, if not quick enough, even a little bit more. And then late sections in the race are quite slow. So, Princess gets back in 3 wide, perfect position you want, especially for a race like this where they've overdone it up front. Stop it here. So Yellow Brick just done too much. Knocks up Kaboo in an ordinary spot, gets checked and dragged out, and just a complete forgive, but he may need a reset. Ruthless Dame, I thought, was close enough, maybe too close, and maybe that played against her. I thought she also was not the same when she copped the check, but she looks the winner here, doesn't get the right run through. New Endeavour had to sort of face the breeze. That's him 3 wide in a fast run race, so forgiving of him, first run in Australia. This is Vienna Princess tracking up. Benedetta in the middle. Thought it was the disappointing run in the race. It seems to have every possible chance here for me. Grabini was okay. Straight Ace was a bit of a surprise packet, not really to myself or anyone who probably subscribes to my sort of service, because always thought it was a better horse back in distance, and did probably encourage the stable, if anything, to go this way, just because I thought it could improve back in distance rather than staying around that mile mark. It'd be interesting to see what this horse does back up to the Golden Eagle distance range. I think he needs a similar sort of run to this at Rosehill to be getting home. But yeah, some decent runs in this race for sure. The winner looks to have all the merit in the race, to be honest. That's it, tracking up wide. New Endeavour just inside it. So forgiving a bit. This is gold toss back in the rack. This is Grabini. Benedetta getting every chance. Saw that Ruthless staying back towards the inside, copped a little check when it went back for the inside run, and just didn't let down for mine. So I'm not sure what to do with her. And Pericles was certainly super honest. I forgot to mention it settled sort of 1 out, 2 back in an okay position, but back in distance, not ideal. It'll be primed for the 1,500 metres next start. Yeah, that's about it for that race. George Main Stakes is a pretty quiet race. So they go slow here, then they put the anchors right out and go very slow to the 800-metre mark, and then rip home. And it's perfect for Fangirl. Ridden a bit close. Thought she was very keen in the run and did a good job. You can see he's really desperate to hold that inside spot on Fangirl early. In the run, it's how far Mr. Brightside, but he never seems to sort of hold the back of the one in front of him, which is a worry. Big worry when My Oberon pushes him out of the way. Basically here, just pushes him out of the way. He can't keep up when they sprint, which is not, he has shown a flat spot once or twice before, but not off this sort of tempo. He can normally sort of build through his gears. He does a good job to beat the rest of the horses, and Fangirl, obviously, one of the better turn of foot horses in the country. When she got that run through and it was such a sit-sprint race, she was always going to be very hard to beat, but she powers through the line as good as I've ever seen her. And as I said, sort of Mr. Brightside, hard and tough, but he doesn't look at his best there. Kovalika, really good coming down the outside. I thought a Tissue was good. I thought Hope in Your Heart was good through the middle here. And they can go back to Mares Grade and be dangerous for sure. Tissue and Hope in Your Heart. This is Kovalika. Nugget was honest as always. My Oberon honest as always. Mr. Brightside. Yeah, she's just dynamic at this mile range, firm track, Mares Grade. She'll be very, very hard to beat. Whether they tackle a Cox Plate, I'm not sure. Only time will tell. Ank Stakes, Renaissance Woman. They go really slow here, slow it down even further to the 600 metres. Come home okay. Question marks over the race here, but at least there's some merit in the late sections, which is better than that early race with the 3-year-old fillies. This is Renaissance Woman in the middle. That's Philosopher. Inside it, I don't want to remember most of these without my notes, but I want to check this race. More Secrets is in the middle here in the Cerise back, sort of 2/3 of the way back in the pack. I'm not sure why they took a sit on Soul Choice, but it's in the here. Osmo's way back, second last, is a horse I thought I'd highlight also. Osbred Flirt outside the leader. It certainly gets its chance in a slow run race, even though it is outside the leader exposed. And that's about the race. So here we go. Get to the top of the straight. Renaissance Women building into it. This is Osbred Flirt. Philosopher back towards the inside. Amakura is worth highlighting. Thought its run was really good first up. Looked like it ran out of room. Osmo's way back there. More Secrets getting to the outside in the Cerise looking colours. They're the main ones. And Soul Choice, I thought, battled on well in a slow sprint, which doesn't suit its style. So Osbred Flirt pretty much looks the winner here. And Renaissance Woman doesn't look to be travelling as well, but she just got really good gears. I think she's a really strong miler. I hope they keep it to the mile, even though this is her second run at the mile. She's one over further, but I think she's just a really nice, strong miler. More Secrets really good down the outside. Probably got a better turn of foot than the winner. Philosopher really good through the middle. Soul Choice okay. Amakura ran out of room late. And, yeah, they're the main ones. So this is Amakura. We'll have a look at her because she's an interesting horse resuming. Back towards the inside. Big Lopey type of horse. And I think she just runs out of room here. And she should have sort of finished probably a length closer. So, yeah, that's the day. I'll run through horses to follow very quickly. So that race there, I thought Osmose, I didn't even point it out. Osmose is back, way back. So back here in the yellow cap, just never takes part, but does enough for mine to warrant at least thought of following as she goes forward. She ran the second fastest 400 of the 200 of the day. And then, maybe she knocked up 4th fastest last 800 of the day, and she's got beaten 100 yards. So she's a horse that basically was given a bye there, and I think she can improve going forward. That's race 9. Won't worry about race 1. Race 2, a bit bunchy and nothing I really want. There's some horses like Karmagui, Eastern Globe, Super Chilled, all going well enough to win, but they need to be well placed. Filly's race, I'll maybe give another chance to Kind Words there. I think Tom Kitten will be extremely well found wherever it goes. I thought Gambari was the horse that probably had the run there that can be forgiving and run well next time out in the gloaming. But you've got a lot of horses there, including Glad You Think So and Cat Farrar, who can be dangerous going to sort of Derby preparations, Longines if it goes back in. If it goes back in grade. That's about it from me from the Everest preview, and hopefully I got through quick enough and kept it a little bit interesting. And good luck for this week, and what is it next week? Caulfield Cup. Cheers, guys.